A mommy? Well, why not be all these things and more? Consider joining me, Dr. V, with friends and colleagues as we explore a wide range of topics together. V is for variety, here on RVN TV.
Number 7. Number 8.
9 regular. Oh, wait, 13 giant. The usual?
Of course. Number 1.
Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Today's show is sponsored by Dr. Jacqueline. Take charge of your life personally, financially, and professionally. Visit drjacqueline.com to book an appointment today.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There you go, Richard. Oh! Is that too hard for you?
No. Is it too hard for you?
Woo! We're playing catch now. Oh, shit.
What do I want to be when I grow up? Maybe a musician? A veterinarian? Maybe an equestrian? Mommy? Well, why not be all these things and more? Consider joining me, Dr. V, with friends and colleagues as we explore a wide range of topics together. V is for variety, here on RVN TV.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to Morning Coffee. I am your host, Mark Iorio, and today I have with me Dr. Lisa. Dr. Lisa Berlin. You're out in Claremont, California. It's pretty darn early out there, Dr. Lisa.
It sure is.
Love it.
It sure is.
Love it. CEO of Parents Anonymous. We wanted to talk about some of the difficult conversations that parents are having with children today. I want to welcome you to the show, first of all. Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
I'm glad to be here this morning.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining us. So, we're in an environment now with some of these discussions that parents are having with their kids growing up. Maybe the racial discussions about differences in race, etc. What do you suggest in terms of how to approach your children as they are, as they're growing up and, understanding the differences that we have with with race?
Well, I think this is a really important question. It's one of those things that many people are struggling with. On top of being affected by the coronavirus and everybody being home together or sheltered together, that is creating enough stress. And now the issue of racism as well as prejudice is facing families. So we talk about a lot of different things, but first and foremost, I think parents need to acknowledge their own feelings. So they've had their own history with racism or prejudice of any kind, being bullied in school for being overweight, for their religion, for what they're eating, all kinds of things. And I think parents first need to dig down deep on what's going on with them about these issues. It may be very personal, it may be very distant, but we talk about in Parents Anonymous, you need to acknowledge your own feelings as a person before you even take on this role of being a parent. Because if we can't center ourselves, if we can't deal with the fear or the angst we have about every time I step outside, am I going to be stopped by the police? Am I going to be looked at in a certain way? Then how can we help teach our children how to address those things? So we as adults first need to dig down deep. And one way you can do that is to call the National Parent Helpline. We're open 12 hours a day, and we provide emotional support. This is a very emotional issue. To say this is an intellectual issue, that it's something that doesn't hit our heart, is not to acknowledge how serious it is. Secondly, talking to your children about these issues, no matter what age they are. They might have heard things. They might have walked by while you're listening to the news. They may have saw something on their tablet. All these kids are on the internet through school and other things, because either the schools have given away tablets or they have tablets and they're trying to connect with their friends. So being aware what your child has been exposed to is really important. Mm-hmm. And thirdly, be factual. When you want to state facts, well, what's racism? Why are they beating that person? Why don't they like me because of the color of my skin? Mm-hmm. Parents need to really be clear and factual and try to be as calm as possible. This is not a calm issue, whether people are protesting in your community or people are just angry and all of a sudden their aunt calls and they're screaming on the phone and the children hear it. Everybody's impacted by these issues about racism.
Yeah.
And prejudice. It's not just racism, it's prejudice. Kids will probably tell you, somebody picked on me in school, mom or dad. And you're thinking like, they never told me that before. So things are gonna come out, and dealing with those issues are really important. Also knowing your child. One child, no matter the developmental age, is more sensitive to the other child. Different kids have temper. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, I see that all the time. Other kids are frightened. They want to sit next to you. They want to hold your hand. They might start bursting out crying about all this issue. Why is everybody protesting? Why is everybody talking about the color of my skin? I have friends that are all colored skins, and I don't see color. The younger the child, the less they see these things or interpret them. So really talking in a straightforward way with your child and deciding what are your family values about this. It's not for anybody else to tell you how to respond. And the last thing is for older children, talking to them about taking action. What do they want to do that's positive? How can they keep having these conversations with their friends, with their teachers, with you as their parents, with their grandparents, with other generations in the family who have a different perspective, who may have lived through different things.
Right.
And that teaches a great deal. The elders in our family can teach a great deal to children.
Yeah.
But it's a scary topic. Everybody wants to say, let's not talk about it.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. I mean, and then you're also concerned. I've had multiple conversations trying to get people on the television program to talk about why they feel the way they feel. I was watching an interview yesterday on YouTube with Chip and Joanna Gaines, and a gentleman who his topic is an uncomfortable conversation with a black man, and he is I think he's a Philadelphia Eagle. His family's from Nigeria initially, and Chip and Joanna were saying, well, our kids, you said it, I think in your one comment, Dr. Lisa, was that they're colorblind. They don't see color. And this fella had a different perspective. He said, well, I think you ought to embrace color because color is, there's a culture to color. There's a richness to color. And so, you know, you're teaching your kids. Some kids say, well, I'm colorblind, Mom, Dad, I really don't see color. And then you hear this perspective and you're like, what am I supposed to do? You know, how am I supposed to react?
Well, I think one of the issues how people feel about this issue, how they embrace this issue, understanding that. So the child who's Caucasian, who says, I don't see color, is not really asking their friend who's African American, what is this experience like for you? What is this like growing up in your family? You know, I want to know more about your culture. And, you know, we have the color of your skin, we have people's race, we have people's values, people live in the rural community, they grew up in the urban area, they grew up in another country, like you said. So we don't want to whitewash it like it's like the melting pot. Everything in America was the melting pot.
Right.
Well, is it more like a soup, which is not blended, where you have all these differences? How do you celebrate the differences?
Yeah.
So asking people, starting out by saying, what is that experience like for you as a woman, as an African-American man, you know, as somebody who lived in Nigeria, as somebody whose family is Amish? I mean, there's lots of different cultural differences where people there's been prejudice against, okay? And I think that if we don't subsume, we know what that experience is. I think that's what this gentleman is trying to tell you, is don't act like you know what it's like. Ask me, what is that experience about? How can I learn more about it? And then how can I join with you to find any prejudice related to that? But I don't know what your experience is.
Right.
And so we don't want to whitewash it. And I think that's what's interesting. We have a lot of people who are Caucasian, like me and you, out in the streets saying, we don't want to see any more of this. This is not a one ethnic group issue.
Right.
Wow, it's a community issue. How can we all embrace that?
Yep.
So I think asking people about their experience is very important, and finding out what's that like. And that may make the child who thinks, oh, everything's cool. We're on the playground. We play all the time. We don't even look at the color. What do you mean when you went to the store, they looked at you funny? What do you mean, you know, your mom doesn't want you to go to the corner store to get milk because she doesn't feel safe? What is that? What is that about? And you're 14 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you have to be concerned about how you dress, how you walk, how you talk? Because of how you're perceived by people in the culture and by institutions in our culture. It's not just the police.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
It's not just the police. And I think when we talk about racism, we can't skip all the other institutions, education, healthcare, child welfare, mental health, you name it, that have prejudice against people based on the color of their skin.
Or where they come from. I mean, it's really, you know, it cuts across all channels. But I think, you know, Dr. Lisa, this is a powerful conversation. I love your perspective. President and CEO of Parents Anonymous. Tell us how to get more information, please.
Well, first of all, you can go to our website, parentsanonymous.org. We have all kinds of information. And we have a new website. I want to do a shout out to Governor Newsom, who did a special initiative because of COVID. So we have a California Parents Youth Helpline, and that is the name of the website. And you can just call us at 1-855-427-2736. We have a vanity number for a parent. And also youth can call us. If your kids are driving you nuts or you're just feeling like, I don't know what to do, hand them the phone. Tell them to call. We're open 12 hours a day. And they can talk to somebody and receive emotional support. We have an expression in Parents Anonymous: asking for help is a sign of strength. I can't emphasize that much, whether you're a child, a youth, a senior, or a parent, or a step-parent, or a grandma.
Absolutely.
People need to feel it's okay to ask for help.
Yep. And the website is rich with information. There's all kinds
Exactly. There's all kinds of resources.
Yep.
There's information by the developmental age of your child, and there's even suggestions how to talk to a preschooler versus an adolescent about racism. There's a different way to talk about it, and you may be nervous about it. So there's some suggestions about you do. Tune into your kids is what I say to parents all the time. Each child is different. They might be 14, but emotionally they feel more like a 10-year-old. They could be a 7-year-old, and you think, oh, they act like an adult. Well, they're not an adult. But understanding your child and listening to them and responding to them with love and support, we can't do enough of that, to each other in our communities to deal with racism, and try to embrace this as well as with our own children.
Absolutely.
And not sweep it on the rug. You know, it doesn't really happen to us. We live in a nice house. We live in a good neighborhood. It's like, it happens everywhere.
Yeah, it
and
does.
you need to keep your eyes open to understand it. And the question is, do you fight against it? Do you do positive things to change it? Those are two different things. Do you defend your friend when somebody picks on them? How do you defend your friend? What do you do if the police stop you and you're 16 years old and there's 3 black friends in the front and a Latino friend in the front? You're white. They stop you anyway. Ask you to get out of the car. How do you respond? Parents need to have that conversation with their kids.
Right. Well, Dr. Lisa, thanks so much for joining us. God bless you for the work you do. Stay safe out there in California. Join us again, please, on Morning Coffee. We love having you.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
Everybody be safe.
You too. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for Morning Coffee. We'll see you next week. Independence Day is this coming Saturday. Enjoy it. Embrace each other. And enjoy the United States of America. That's the greatest country in the world. We'll see you next week.